Okay, so today we're going to be simplifying fractions that include monomials. This should be just most people in here remember something about simplifying fractions. This is just taking it to another step. So at the top, please put your name. And then next to where it says simplify each fraction, we're going to write in show work on notebook paper, because that is what we're going to do today. We're going to show our work on notebook paper. It also tells you a hint here. If there's a negative on the top, it equals the same as a negative on the bottom. It equals the same as a negative out to the side, if there's one. If there are two negatives, that's a whole different story altogether. Okay, so my first one right here, 6x over 8x squared. So I'm going to write that over here on my paper. So I have notebook paper right here. 6x over 8x squared. Let me go ahead and check and make sure I wrote it right. So at the top of your notebook paper, I would write out those prime numbers that we're using a lot. So 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, just a few of the first ones. So we're going to use our factoring to primes for all of these numbers. So my 6 will give me a 2 and a 3. And my 8 would give me a 2 and a 4, and a 2 and a 2. So I'm going to rewrite this fraction out with these. So on top I have a 2 times a 3, because there's my 6, times an x. Then on bottom I'm going to have a 2 times a 2 times a 2, and then I have x squared, so times an x times an x. Now we're going to simplify our fraction by crossing out things that are on top and bottom. I have a 2 and a 2. Those can cancel each other out. I have an x and an x. I could either cross out these right here, or I'm going to cross out these two because they're a little bit closer. So now that I don't have anything else on top the same as on bottom that I could cancel out, then I'm going to rewrite my number. So on top I just have a 3. And then those are both canceled out. On bottom I have a 2 times 2, which is 4, and I have an x. So now this is what I'd like you to do on your paper. Work it out on your notebook paper, and then put just your answer right here. Go ahead and write your answer down on here, because there's more than one of the things that you're going to be coloring in. And if you don't write your answer here, you're going to have to keep flipping back, where you're going to end up solving the problems more than once and waste your own time. So we got 3 over 4x. And that's it. And then you can go in and fill in the circles. So the next one. Okay, so I have negative 12x over 15x. So 12, 2 and 6, 2 and 3. And since it's a negative, we're also going to have a negative 1. If you want, your teacher might have you guys start right here and do negative 1 and positive 12. And then 2 and 6, 2 and 3. So for my 12 on top, we get negative 1 times 2 times 2 times 3, and then we have an x. On bottom, 15, we have 3 and 5. Those are both primes, so that's as far as it's going to go. So 3 times 5 times an x, because there's an x on top and an x on bottom, but no more. So I can cross out these two x's, there's one on top and one on bottom, and cross out this 3 and that 3. There's nothing else, though, that I have on top and bottom, so that's going to be my answer. On top, I have negative 1 times 2 is negative 2, times another 2 would be negative 4. And no x's or anything. And on bottom, I just have a 5. Negative 4/5 is my answer. Okay, I will try to do one more here on the video. Oh, then I can see all of that. Okay, so I have 14 and x cubed over 6x. So I know on top, if you want, you can look up here and use that from before. So on bottom of my fraction, I'm going to have a 2 times a 3, and then times a single x, because this one had 1. So did this one, but that's just coincidence. We can use our factor tree from up here, or 6. Now, I haven't done 14 yet, so I'm going to have to do it out to the side here. That would be 2 times 7. Check my list up here. 2 and 7 are both prime numbers, so I don't have to go any more than that. So I'm going to circle them. 2 times 7. Now I have 3 x's, so times an x, times an x, times an x. So now I'm going to cross things out. I have a 2 and a 2. Crossed out. X and an x. Crossed them out. Now nothing else will cancel out, so that's what I've got left. So on top I have a 7. Right out 7. And I have 2 x's, so that's x squared. So it's an x times an x over 3. So 7x squared over 3. And that's my answer. So you're doing just the same thing on each of these other problems. So you're going to be factoring them out, like this one that's already done for you here. And then you're going to be crossing things out that there's one on the top and one on the bottom. So down here I could see I'm already going to mark out the negative 2 and negative 2, an x and an x, another x and an x, and a y. So I'm going to end up with just a y on bottom, and it looks like 4 and 15. I can go ahead and write that one in. 4 over 15 y. So anytime there's a negative, it's going to come out like this one, to be a negative 1, either at the beginning of the tree or the beginning of your upside down birthday cake. Or if you can do the rest of it and you want to just put a negative 1 out in front. That's fine with me. Okay, I do have to give a shout out to some people in first hour, Jefferson, James, and second hour, TJ and Isaiah. And in fourth hour, I have Keenan, OC, Skyla, and Jacob. Thanks. Have a great Monday.